So in the Gears of War Eday trailer reveal, we saw the return of the iconic Locust drone in a new, different, more menacing, brutal way. We also got to see the Locust Corpse Hollow creatures in the background as Marcus and Dom looked into the distance as Kelowna City began to fall apart. But which other iconic Locust creatures will we see in Gears of War Eday? Well, as always, I'm your host Abz, and we've got so much to discuss. So without further ado, let's get into this. Now I'm not going to go into every single Locust variant as we'll be here all day long, but not only that, we will generally assume that the Wretches will appear, the Brumacs, the Cedars, the Reavers, Bloodmounts and so on. But let's kick all of this off at the top of the food chain, the High General of the Locust Army. I'm talking General Raam. Now if you've seen some of my lore videos, you'll know that General Raam was present on Emergence Day. Of course, he led the charge on the whole damn thing. On Eday he killed the former Uzil, General Srark, with the assist of 2 Therons, and then he destroyed a cog base in Janamont. From here onwards, the next time he is seen in the Gears timeline is during Gears 3's DLC, Raam's Shadow, but that is set 9 years after Emergence Day. However, it doesn't really make sense for Raam to take on Marcus and Dom in Gears of War Eday, as they encountered and killed him 14 years later during the Lightmass Offensive, which was in Gears 1 obviously, and not only that, but he wouldn't have been in Kelowna City. In my opinion, I don't really want it to be a repeat of Gears 1, and for it to take away that feeling of Marcus seeing Min getting slaughtered by Raam. But there is a possibility that Raam can be in Gears of War Eday if he arrives in Kelowna shortly after destroying Janamont, as we don't really know what Raam got up to shortly after wiping out humans in Janamont. But either way, I think that they should show Raam in a cutscene or two, just to show the devastation of Eday across the planet. After Janamont he can meet up with Queen Myrrah and Scourge, and then they'll lead the charge in other cities. Even if Raam's not in the game, just pay homage to him in some cutscenes. Put him over as this monstrous Locust High General who the cog just cannot deal with. He terrifies them for 14 long years. Moving on to Keita Scourge. Now Scourge was first seen by Marcus and Dom in Gears of War 2 during Operation Hollow Storm, just as they were about to drill down in the grind lifts to commence the operation. This was 14 years after Eday, so there's literally no way around that. Therefore, Scourge unfortunately most likely won't be in the game, but similar to Raam, I think they should just show Scourge in a cutscene with Raam as they destroy other human cities. And to finally see a cutscene with both Raam and Scourge in it would be freaking insane, and would be top 5 badass Gears of War moments in my book. Krav Jamad was also present on Emergence Day, but he too was busy in the city of Janamont. The 2 Therons that assisted Raam to kill Srark had presented their blight to Jamad, and they, together, marched onto the whole city of Janamont on Eday. So I doubt we will see Jamad either. But if Gears of War Eday isn't just based on one day, then Krav Jamad could potentially appear if his blight made its way to Kelowna City after destroying Janamont. That would be really awesome to go up against Krav Jamad as a mini-boss. He's an expert marksman, unlike any other. So if he is seen in the game, then expect him to be doming cog gears left, right and centre. The Locust geneticist, Ukon. He wasn't really present on the surface on Emergence Day. He began to do his own recon missions on the surface, which is how the COG High Command were able to discover and document him. However, to be honest, that just ties into Gears Tactics' story 1 year after Eday. So unfortunately, I'd say don't expect Ukon to be in Gears Eday either, unless he is just part of some Locust Council meeting. We also have General Khan. He was seen during the destruction of Halvor Bay 30 days after Eday, but before that he was busy destroying the Republic of Groznyj. Khan returning wouldn't be the worst thing, but I think his story is just fully tied in with Gears Judgment, so once again I don't think he will be present in the city of Kelowna in Gears Eday. Then finally, in terms of Locust leadership, we have the former Cantus High Priest, Keita Vrol. Now I believe he was too old to fight in battle anyway, so I think he would have just been tucked away in the Temple of the Trinity, watching my lore videos, as well as motivating the Locust underground in their battle against the Lambent, holding the line until the Locust War was complete. But he did die at some point in the war, before Operation Hollow Storm, as Scourge became the High Priest, but we don't know the reason as to how Vrol died. But either way, he wouldn't have been there on Eday, nor on the surface. But the thing is, in terms of Locust leadership, you can always have more Locust Vols and Kravs appear. These are lieutenants and captains. There were so many blights of Locust, and of course they attacked all across Zera. The Locust army was absolutely enormous, and there was a sophisticated military structure. There would have been other promising Vols or Kravs who led other Locust on the battlefield. Of course, they wouldn't have been as badass as Raam or Scourge, but they would have been a formidable force in their own right. And if Marcus and Dom are struggling against even Locust drones on Eday, since they've never encountered one before, then a Locust captain or lieutenant is gonna be like a boss fight. They just really need to get the creative juices flowing. Go all out and expand with it. It's not just about shoehorning in characters as a safe option. Maximize the lore and potential at your disposal. Now, before we move on to the Locust Races, I want to mention one of the hollow creatures, and that is the Krill. During the destruction of Halvor Bay 30 days after Eday, they were mentioned but not seen. But it's never really been mentioned whether the Krill were there on Eday, so I think there's room to get the Krill involved, because in order to have it feel dark and horror-esque, you need the Krill, man. The Krill are goated. They add so much to the atmosphere and gameplay. They're just so different and offer something special in the Gears universe. But hopefully this time we don't need to drive a crappy junker. God, that mission was annoying. One more final note on the hollow creatures is that they can easily create more hollow creatures or variants that were present on Eday. There's concept artwork out there of crazy looking hollow creatures, so they can just do so much with that, honestly. If there's hollow creatures like giant ceripedes, rockworms, or cedars, then there can just be almost anything, really. It'll actually be quite interesting if there's a hollow creature that the Locust used as a ground vehicle. Something that's like a blood mount, but like 3 or 4 times bigger, that can hold a full squad of Locust. That would be freaking badass. I really want to see something like that. Moving on to the Locust Races. So firstly, of course, we'll have the Locust drones, back and better than ever as we saw in the trailer. I'm looking forward to see how the Coalition design all of the Locust drone variants, and design them to look and feel more intimidating than ever. That's gonna be awesome, but hopefully they don't stray far away from the original designs, as the OG designs were amazing. Just build off that to make them look even more menacing. I think the Locust Grenadiers will return in all of their glory, more aggressive than ever, and ready to gib you into smithereens with the Nasher. But for the drones and Grenadiers, I'm hoping that they get a bit creative with it and create new variants. Variants that were present during Eday, but were slowly phased out as the war progressed. Either those roles became redundant or they were replaced, for instance. So one variant would be the Locust Ravager, a skin that was actually made for Gears 5 multiplayer, but became canon to the lore. Now the Ravager was the highest ranking subclass of Grenadier, and they were the most brutally strong and resilient Grenadiers, and they were charged with being the initial storming force when breaching, clearing and laying waste to key fortified cog facilities and fortifications. So it would be insane to see the Ravagers in the game. Or if there's other Locust weapons that we've never seen before that were equipped at the start of the Locust War, then I think they could potentially have new unique specialized drones or Grenadiers equipped with those weapons. That would be really cool. Next, let's talk Locust Ragers. They have to return. They were an amazing enemy type in my opinion, and they appeared during Gears Judgment, so they would have definitely been around on Eday. So it's going to be crazy to see the Ragers return. That's going to be so much fun. Now with the Theron Guards, I don't think they should be in Eday, and I don't think they will be, which is crazy to say, but the reason why is because during Gears 1, when Delta encounter the Therons, they act like they've not seen them before.
You hear that? What the hell's that sound?
It's just the wind.
Yeah, right. When's the last time the wind said hostiles to you? Those aren't drones.
Oh, shit. Looks like they upgraded.
They're called Theron Guards.
You think they know what we're doing?
Well, we're not here to sell cookies, so they know something's up.
So unfortunately for us Theron stands out there, I don't think they're gonna make it into the game. And hopefully they don't, because of course we need to stick to the lore as much as possible, even though I would love to see them return. However, it's not all doom and gloom, because I have a solution. This is where the Locust Hunters can finally make their appearance in a campaign. The Locust Hunters only appeared in Gears 3 multiplayer, but the lore behind them is that they predated the Grenadier and were tasked with hunting down and killing certain humans, such as military and civilian leaders. They were equipped with torque bows, so I think you have your Theron Guard replacement right there, but just kind of retcon the predating the Grenadier aspect. They could potentially redesign these guys a bit as well, so that they don't get confused with the drones and Grenadiers on the battlefield. And because the Locust Hunters have never been in a campaign before, there is still the opportunity to redesign them. One cut concept I'd love to see added would be to see the Locust drone with wretches on a lead, seeing them use the wretches like dogs, and then letting them loose to attack civilians, as well as sniffing out humans under rubble, or humans that are simply hiding, and so on. That would be really cool, I'm not gonna lie. Let me know what you think of that. We also have the Cantus Priests. Now, although I absolutely love the Cantus, I don't think they should be in Eday, because in Gears 2, Marcus and Dom saw the Cantus for the first time, and therefore it would be very wrong and unfair to just rewrite this.
I think it's safe to say that's not a natural cave formation.
You were wondering where they come from, Carmine? No! You aren't.
What are these guys?
I don't care, just shut them up!
The Cantus do offer something entirely different though on the battlefield, with their weaponry and ability to heal troops, so that will be a big miss. The Cantus are seen in Gears Judgment and Tactics, but Marcus and Dom just didn't encounter them, so yeah, I don't think it's right to have the Cantus return in this game. Moving on to the Locust Boomers. They can easily return for sure, alongside the Boomer variants like the Flame Boomer, the Grinder, the Tremor and the Mauler, so that's going to be awesome to fight those big boys once again. But I will propose one thing. Let's see that goddamn Master Boomer cut concept come to life. The Boomer that is equipped with a large metal whip and throws wretches towards you. He would absolutely be a crazy enemy to take on. The way he'd keep you at a distance and strike you with the whip, but throw wretches right at you, flushing you out of cover at the same time. That fight is going to be juicy. I really hope the Master Boomer concept is finally brought to life. For the Locust Races we also have the Sires. They definitely won't be there, as they were seen in the New Hope research facility 14 years later in the timeline during Gears 2. But finally, for the Locust Races we have the Berserker. During Gears 1 it seemed like Marcus hadn't even encountered a Berserker before.
Who are you? Oh shit, quiet! Don't move. What was that? A Berserker. She can hear us. She can smell us.
So it pains me to say, I don't think the Berserker will be in Eday. It wouldn't really make sense, which really is a shame because the Berserkers are one of the most goated and iconic enemies in the entire franchise. But then again, Gears of War 2's campaign had no Berserkers, and many fans regard that as the best campaign, so... Anyway guys, don't worry because Abz has a way to combat this. I have the perfect solution. Step forward, the unarmored Mauler. Now we're in business. I want to see Marcus and Dom take this beast on. For those of you who don't know, the unarmored Mauler was not your average Mauler. He was much larger and more muscular. He was a giant and therefore he didn't even need the boom shield that the regular Maulers had. He was around the size of a Berserker. He could cause similar destruction like the Berserker, well probably a little less, but he also had his explosive flail as well. So the unarmored Mauler would be an absolute force and a dream to face in Eday. It'll be like fighting a Berserker, except the unarmored Mauler will be able to see, and will be sophisticated with its attacks, and will be able to use his huge explosive flail, and also just pretty much charge right through you. So I really wish they can make that happen. That would be a dream boss fight for me. So, to conclude, let's round up the enemy roster in a perfect world for Gears of War Eday. I want to see Raam and Scourge appearing in cutscenes, meeting Queen Myrrah on Emergence Day, and then destroying and leading the charge. I want to see a potential Locust Council meeting. That would be insane. I want to see Krav Jamad or multiple promising Krav or Volds that are very unique. The Krill have to return in full force, as well as the other many hollow creatures such as the wretches, corpses, brumacs, bloodmounts, as well as any other hollow creatures never seen before in any of the games. They can do so much with that. In terms of Locust Races, it would have to be the drones and grenadiers, alongside new variants, as well as seeing drones with wretches on a lead. I want to see the Locust Hunters finally make their appearance. The Ragers have to return, as well as many Boomer variants, including the Master Boomer concept and the unarmored Mauler from the comics, to fill the void of the Berserkers. So in my opinion, with that enemy roster we'll be eating good and at the same time sticking to the lore as well. And that is my thoughts on which Locust enemies we will encounter in Gears of War Eday. Drop a like if you enjoyed this video, and please do comment below with your thoughts on my ideas and which Locust you'd like to see in the game. Subscribe if you haven't done so already, and a big special thank you to the YouTube and Patreon members for your additional support as always. I'm your host Abz, and as always I will catch you guys next time.